Welcome to Planet Pluto Pseudo.
Tango, tango, bravo, bravo. What's happening? What's happening? Good people. I see y'all out there looking all good and stuff. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas around these malls and shopping plazas and streets and everything and all that good stuff. Welcome everybody to Planet Pluto Pseudo. And you know who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha, Wright, aka Key Lolo. That's right. And then right over here, you know who that is? It is the one, the only, the hair oracle, Miss Cheryl Morrow. I gotta get one of those Kermit the Frog when he go. Y'all may not know about the Muppets. Y'all remember the Muppet Babies, the Muppet Show, and Little Old Man? I miss the Muppets. They were so good, so good, so good. What's happening here, Savant? How are ya? I hope you're doing good. I know you're looking good if you ain't doing good, because if you look good, then you're doing good. At least in the beauty world, because you know how we are. You know, it's all about if you look good, you feel better and all this other cool stuff. But it has been a fantastic week at the Revers Design Team Hair Salon. So what's happening over in your neck of the woods besides the weather?
Me?
Yes.
The weather.
I knew she was gonna say that. The what? Y'all come on in, come on in. Y'all see my boss? She was like, "I'm up, Ladosha. My boss is up." Y'all know when we see Lavina is in the chat, we got to do what? Everybody hit it. Come on, y'all, put them L's up to the screen now. I know she can't see y'all, but she can feel y'all. My BFF Rashida is representing the ATL, and she's gonna be meeting me in
Dago.
San Francisco. Yes, she's coming through. She's gonna, Rashida, you bet not back down, okay? Or else I'm gonna come and get you. But Rashida is going to meet up with us in San Diego. Next week is going to be the actual press conference, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So Rashida said we're going to get that weather and we're going to, speak up and speak out about this whole relaxer situation. So we're going to do that a little bit more. So let me drop my little L in the chat for my boss. I see you here, Savannah. Go ahead, Rashida, drop your L for Lavina, because y'all know Lavina be down for the crown. Lavina like, stop that, Ladosha. Nope. Come make me stop. It's not going to But this week at the salon, everything is going pretty good. We're having people who are coming in off of these podcasts. So I just want to just personally thank every single person who's calling. Some people are calling about products. So if you're getting some strange emails, Cheryl, that's us sending them over to you. So people, Chrissy's taking all of the messages. So we thank you guys for supporting us, not only, right here on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook, but you're also supporting us in real life. And so we really appreciate that. And so Lavina is saying off the hook, Cheryl, she's thanking you so much for sharing your knowledge. And tonight, you guys are in for a royal treat, as we are going to be talking about the importance of telling Black stories. And I'm going to share with you some tips if you're interested. Maybe you want to write a book or publish a book. Maybe you already wrote it, but you want to publish it. So I am willing to share all of my experiences and tell you the truth, how much things cost, everything you want to know, even websites and people. I will do that for you right here if that comes up in the chat. But we're going to have a wonderful discussion about telling Black stories and why that is so important, especially when it comes to hair. So we're going to pick Cheryl's brain, because if anybody knows anything about telling stories, we know when your daddy write a book like this, baby, let me tell you, and he had a newspaper, and he had a radio station. I don't know how and why he chose to do all of those things. I think you shared that with us before.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to ask you to just recap. Why did he chose those three modalities to tell Black stories, given how much crap we talk in the hair salon? I mean, you would think that would be enough, right? Everybody,
Right.
Nobody tells more stories than a hair salon and a barbershop. Also, Kofi Paisai and his homeboy Sean, they have a book about telling stories in the modern day griots and griotettes. Okay, griots. I'm sorry, griots. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So we're going to talk about that. So if this is your lane, you're thinking about writing, you're thinking about telling a story. Maybe you want to do like some monologues, poetry. So this is going to be the podcast for you. But before we get into that, and we do our real situations here, Cheryl, update us on what's happening on Thursday, December the 14th in San Diego, California.
Oh, we are going to be setting the record straight, y'all, and giving a industrial, real professional perspective of what actually goes on during the relaxing process. And we are going to stand firm and say, take your hands off our legacy. And we are going to be the voice that hopefully from that point on, or even this point on, we are the purveyors of the information about Black beauty, the chemicals we use, the techniques we use, the styling, our expertise. For some reason, we tend to get, they act like we're not there. And I don't.
Well, could it be that a cosmetologist isn't technically an expert? Maybe some people feel like y'all ain't no experts. Y'all can't get up on no stand and, give no opinions. You guys, could that be that cosmetologists are not, we're not considered the most sophisticated, if you know what I mean? Could that be? What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think a cosmetologist could be an expert, or a barber? Could we be expert witnesses? So, Cheryl, as they're answering that, why do you think that could be possible?
Well, for one example, the Mr. Morrow's career. You don't get any more expertise than that. But when you hone your skills inside of a profession, no matter if it's an occupation or not, you still gather experience, you still gather expertise, you gather all of the years and you combine those, and you are the person that is best suited to get information, regardless if you're doing a research study or you're doing a case study or you're doing testing. The people who do this every day. Now, I do understand that most of the people or consumers or the public only see us doing the physical work, but there is a scientific investigation and study and intellect and intelligence to this. This is just not, and I devote to make sure that hairstylists stay tip-top shape on all of their advanced information, and as well as their technical prowess. So, and it's unfortunate that professors and people who are in politicians seem to trump our expertise for some odd reason, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we're in the shape we're in.
That's right. And this is I'm with you, Levine. I'm going to go ahead on and put that up there. And this is why we do thank you so much, for sharing your knowledge with us, because a lot of people really don't see cosmetologists in a high thought or a in high esteem, unless they are a celebrity hairstylist. But even celebrity hairstylists, they have a different slant. It's almost like, you can't sit with us. They don't come across as they are, fully, encroached in the beauty industry, in that regard. Most celebrity hairstylists, they're definitely not activists. You don't see them showing up. You never see a celebrity hairstylist like at a hearing saying, "Don't do this to our industry." You see what I'm saying? So they're kind of like celebrity hairstylist, session hairstylist. I forgot the other one. Oh, platform. Um, so those three sects of professionals in the industry, they're kind of like off, into their own world. Is anybody kind of feeling what I'm saying? I'm not, but they're very philanthropic. Don't get me wrong. They definitely have deeds of philanthropy. They're definitely, for social, causes like like Black Lives Matters, things of that nature. But to what we're talking about as how cosmetologists could be and are these experts. We're just not quite viewed like that. And celebrity hairstylists, they don't seem to be the people that, are, represent the higher thought. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it didn't used to be like that. In order to be
Hmm.
a platform artist 20, 30 years ago, you could not, prior to Y2K, you could not be a platform artist unless you was an educator. You had to
Oh,
be you had to be an educator. You
right.
couldn't. The last 24, 25 years, you're now an influencer. You're just there to move product sales and to get the product in front of people.
Ooh,
The and so it has changed.
wow.
It wasn't always like that. No, you had
Wow. I haven't been in the industry long enough to know that. What's up, LB? What's up, Lawana? I see you in the chat. Okay, but Harris Savant says something very interesting. He said, yes, we can, but using our voices would undermine their pointed attack. So yeah, okay. And then he also says celebrity hairstylists are all about appearances. Now we don't have any celebrity hairstylists in the chat. But if you are a celebrity hairstylist and you're watching this post live, because we know y'all watching, we see y'all looking at us. Don't be scared. Drop that in the chat and help us clarify why we don't see you guys where we need you the most. Speaking for I call us the working stiffs. Like people. I did a video on the Dyson Air Straight hair dryer, and the lady came in the chat like, you're just partial to Rev Air. You didn't even show how the thing worked on the hair. I was like, no, I didn't, because it was burning the lady's hair, and I didn't want to, like put that on there. That's number one. And then number two, we work behind the chairs every day. So I vetted that company's so they had like celebrity stylists, like endorsement or whatever you want to call them. And when you went to Google them, you couldn't even find these people. Cheryl and I, we're like real people. Like, y'all can get in touch with us. You can email us at afrohairscience.com. We work behind the chair. When we don't have this platform to be influencers. This is not why we're here. We're here to be of access and to be a voice. And so the minute I opened up that box, I said, this will never work, because you can see how some people are just after the black dollar. Some of these companies are just making up a bunch of stuff, and it's very clear, what they're after. And so I didn't, but this is the reality of what we are dealing with. And so Hair Savant says Greg Gilmore is definitely, he's all about the cause. He pushes for informed Black hair care. Definitely Greg Gilmore is definitely for the cause. I've not seen him in any political arenas, but Greg Gilmore is definitely down for the crown. And you guys can check him out on pretty much all the social media platforms. He is actually from Cleveland, and he's also a good friend of Cheryl and I. So definitely check out Greg Gilmore if you are a licensed professional. Now, y'all don't be trying to get no appointments, okay? Like Ladosha said, nah, don't be telling Greg and blame it on Hair Savant since he put his name out there. So yeah, so that's how it's going down. So we will be in California, and you're going. Are you nervous about doing this, Cheryl?
No, I'm in the press.
You're in the press.
Yeah.
Because it's just gonna be an army of two, me and you.
Well, because a lot of
Like,
people.
you know what, y'all crazy. I know people are like, the hell y'all doing this for? What are you saying to that?
Yeah. Let me just say this. I believe if it's to be, it's up to me. And so I don't even think about it. I know that something needs to be said. And I think probably while I can say it and I have the proof to back it up, and I know this industry, and I don't want to say I'm undisputed, but I do know my way around, and I want my industry to be preserved. I don't care who's attacking it. We are going to say something if you're wrong, if you're scientifically wrong, if you are technically wrong, artistically wrong. This is an industry, and this is one of the problems we're trying to combat. We have to be tip-top shape. We got to be top professionals. And when we see something's not right, we have to advocate for our kind, our tribe, our industry. It is the most important industry in the history of Black America. So we got to do it.
Bam! And to that note, as promised, we tell y'all right here on Planet Pluto Pseudo, what we do every month is we have a book. So we started off with Styling Jim Crow. Then we rocked it over to Doppelganger with Naomi Klein, right? And then last month, we had, what's his name? Tom Burrell,
Yes.
Brainwashed, okay? This one right here, Cheryl, everybody in the chat, everybody, if you thought Styling Jim Crow was the whippity snap, this one right here, Cheryl, is going to blow y'all socks off. So get ready. The ultimate book. Bam, right there. Style and Status. Selling Beauty to African American Women, 1920s to 1975. This is by, she is a scholar. Okay, her name is Susanna Walker. She is out of the UK. She's a sister from another mother. Don't let that color fool you. This white chick brings the fire. And I'm just going to say this about this book. Every single thing that Cheryl has said leading up to this very conversation we're having today, I will put my entire career and my first and second born that this book will, it will solidify, it will validate every single thing that Cheryl has said. So when we talk about the power and the importance of telling Black stories, you need good sources. Because you got to be careful of what you're reading and who's telling you this story. And this is why this particular podcast is going to be so poignant, because I'm going to pick Cheryl's brain. She's going to be like, Key Lolo, you digging. We're going to get this Cheryl Morrow, because everybody want a little bit of Cheryl Morrow in them. And so today you're going to learn how you can become your own Cheryl Morrow when it comes up to speaking for yourself. You're going to learn how to do that. And this book, Style and Status, let me just tell you right quick. I hope you guys are writing this down. Of course, we're just going to read a little bit from the book later on and to the podcast. But Susanna Walker, she studied literature at Cambridge. Okay. And then she also specialized, she studied design history. She was also a curator, and she literally helps the underdog. You can check her out on LinkedIn. She's still alive. She's a little bit younger than Cheryl and I. And she really, I think she focuses a lot on women's issues. But this book, I'm just going to just read this. This is what I wrote down. Okay. This book challenges the notion that the civil rights movement and Black Power movements, 50s through the 70s, represents the first period in where African Americans wielded considerable influence over appearance and beauty. Cheryl keeps telling us it didn't just start in those eras. Everybody hated this. Remember that video that we showed last week? Let me show it right quick, Cheryl. And this book will bring that. You guys might remember this video, and it got everybody upset. Remember this one? And everybody got upset and wanted to know why are they doing this? They're taking our stuff. And Cheryl talks about the hair, the mother texture being first, and how cultures borrow from one another. So this book, she is taking us through this chronologically. This sister, she went there. I mean, this book is fire, especially if you are a historian buff, or you like to just fact check people like, no, that ain't true. And you just want to be rah, rah, rah all up in the conversation. Yo, this book is the one. So again, Style and Status by Susanna Walker. I'm actually going to reach out to her on LinkedIn and just let her know that we are highlighting her book. But I promise you guys, if you think Styling Jim Crow was like and Styling Jim Crow is a powerful book. Don't get it twisted.
Yes.
I mean, Styling Jim Crow ain't nothing. If you don't actually, all these books that we have, if you're trying to build your own library to help, rather with your own ability to communicate or help you with your own book, not every book that we're going to pick is like this, but I promise you, you will not regret purchasing. This book is also on whoops, hold up, sorry guys, check it out. You can get it in the ebook. She wrote this in 2007. So this ain't nothing from 19, you know what I'm saying? The other book was a little bit older. So this book is pretty recent. And I promise you guys, she did a phenomenal job. I mean, it is worth having. It is truly worth having. You can go Google her, check out Goodreads, all that other good stuff. She has other books, but this one here is where it's at. So let's get ready to get in the topic we're going to be talking about today, which is the why. First of all, why should we be telling Black stories? And how we can get those stories out. But before we do it, we always have to get real, right? So let us get real. Let's get everybody a little laugh, and these get reals are always funny. So this one is like, get real with the baby hair. Are you guys ready? You ready, Cheryl, to get real with some baby hair? Cheryl said, come on, y'all, wake up. It's only 7 o'clock. What time is it? 7:24 in Cali.
7:24. Let's do it.
Here we go. Let's get real with some baby hair.
Ooh, you look cute. Cause you a little bald headed. But you looking good with the ponytail. I like it. You like it?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Come on now, dog. I know y'all like Ladosha. You need to go get a light. Hey, that was funny. Because when I first saw it, I said, how they get that baby hair? I said, that baby hair look like an adult hairstyle. Like, these baby mamas is something. Look at this baby. Hold on. Let me show you one more time, Cheryl.
Ooh, you look cute. Cause you You a little bald headed. But you looking good with the ponytail. I like it. You like it?
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Now, the thing that's crazy about this, the wig fit the baby's head. So are they making
wigs?
Are they making wigs for babies, y'all?
They making wigs for bald-headed babies.
Baby can't be bald. I was a black bald headed. This light makes me look really light. But if any y'all see hair survive, you know I'm a chocolate sister. I'm not as light as Cheryl. Everybody in the chat like, what the? They like Ladosha. Stay out. Look at LaWanna. Hold on. LaWanna like, make it make sense. Now here's some are they making wigs for baby?
Because it fit. No, I was fooled.
The wig fit. And it had to
come on.
Had the baby hair so they
come on, people.
Black people, if we put the wigs on babies, we need to go to hell. If you put a wig on your baby, you're going to hell.
Straight to
why baby can't be bald, Cheryl?
Because we can't, it's all about the parent. That's our inner feelings, that our shit about to come out.
That wig fit that baby. Now I hope, I pray and hope that was just a hoax for us to have this type of dialogue.
No,
please,
that wig fit that baby.
Cheryl, as the hair oracle, could you please tell everybody, please do not put a wig on the baby's head?
My whole thing is that you guys have to understand the baby is forming its whole personality and character around you fools. The baby should not know what a wig is.
God, I know it was funny, but
the baby should not know what a wig is.
Don't y'all put no wigs on, and I'm saying it in my hood language, but don't y'all put no wigs on them babies' heads, okay? All right, so that was one, get real. So now we got real with the baby hair. Y'all ready for the next one? Hair Savant, like, bring it. We got real with the baby hair. This time we gonna get real relaxed. You ready, Cheryl? We gonna get real. Everybody take a deep breath. Come on, y'all. Let it out. And we're going to get real relaxed. Here we go.
Oh my God. What happened?
She said she did it like a keratin treatment.
That's not a keratin treatment. Did you have a relaxer?
I don't know. She said a keratin treatment. Got all this hair.
What volume did you use?
20.
Oh. I think you need to give it back.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I'm just going to sip some tea. Hair Savant, come on. Where are my licensed cosmetologists? And this is a perfect segue into why we should tell Blacks. If you want to write a book and you see, okay, let me just, Cheryl, come on. Well, y'all see how this stuff is happening, right? Relaxers cause cancer. Now when you relax, so now you can't relax and highlight hair. I
What
just
was
want to know.
but what was the client doing?
The client said nothing. Did anybody see that? Let me play it again. She did not say one word. Here we go.
Oh my God. What happened?
She said she did it like a keratin treatment.
That's not a keratin treatment. Did you have a relaxer?
I don't know. She said a keratin treatment. Got all this hair.
What volume did you use?
20.
Oh. I think you need to go to the back.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I think we need to come here. Because now, why was that one strand blonde?
Well, for one, her hair was, I think, if you know, first of all, her hair was already lightened. That's right. Come on now. Come on. That's right. Okay. So, first of all, her hair was already pre-lightened,
Right.
number one.
Pre-lightened.
Number two, that texture of hair, you really wouldn't even put a relaxer on that.
Well, first of all,
I mean, and then two, what made her just, well, I know what made her break. Did you put a relaxer in your hair? I'm like, what did it thank you. Come on, hair savant. What the hell? What the hell? Did a relaxer have to do with that?
Well, first of all, everybody is in denial about the two different ways that relaxer is a dissolver, and then thio and all of the other subsequent chemicals are penetrators. That's why you have the mushy, stretchy. That is not relaxer would not even give you that. Relaxer, that is not ever. Okay. Relaxer does not leave you spaghetti and stretchy and ripping and tearing like that. That is pre-lightened. And
she said she told them that she had a keratin treatment.
And
that result is reflective of ammonium thioglycine.
Yeah.
That if you know your stuff.
And color. She was pre-colored, right. And she did a double serve, and that's why it's so stretchy and mushy, and it's like a rubber band. But that is not that's not relaxer at all.
Yeah.
But here you go again. Everybody wants to blame relaxer at all. I mean, and that's why we're doing the press conference.
Right.
That's why.
Exactly.
Black folks is about to be out their business. They going to be out of the game. Our legacy is about to be stolen because of that bullshit right there. They know damn well that is indicative of a overprocessing of anything that it penetrates or is acidic. That's
they refuse to acknowledge.
Yep.
They did the consultation. Mm-hmm. They asked the lady, tell me your hair history. The lady said, I got a keratin treatment. And then when the color, the test strand revealed the underlying pigment, right? And it also, she was already pre-lifted. You could see it on the ends were already lightened. That's what's going to happen. But when you already have a process, which ammonia, if she had a keratin treatment, she definitely penetrated, went in, rearranged. That does that.
Yeah, that's typical.
Yeah, but relaxers don't do that. So that right there, that made no sense now whatsoever. So to Hair Savant's point, it's like, they just don't want to fess up about that keratin. So, and this is why we should be telling our stories. Like Cheryl said, that when we get down there next week, first of all, she needs to tell them about the relaxer and how it works, because we just don't have the proper context. So with that being said, starting off, because there are a lot of ways to tell Black stories, and I have a plethora of books to talk about that. But let's start off with your father, because he did it best. He did it good. He did it right. 400 years without a comb. You have that's written, right? He also produced this in a documentary, right? So that's film. He also had a radio station, so that's spoken. And then he also had a newspaper, which you are currently the editor of. So why? Why is it important to tell our stories, number one? And number two, why we need so many different modalities aside from the obvious? Some people can't read, some people don't like to read, that type of stuff. I know that's a little loaded, but so, like I said, just why should we? So I just want to know, why should we tell them? Because them white people wrote them books too. We got that part. But why should we as Black people, why should we tell those stories?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, everything up until the first, I think, Black newspaper could be 1916, 17, 18. One of the important things that all of us have to understand, that everything that's written about you, about Black people, and if you're not of African descent, right? Prior to people who do real research, and their motives are clean, they really want, and they're fascinated about the subject. But everything about Black people in media is already destined and intended to be fake news, which means that if you don't check the resource, it is designed, and I'll give you an example, designed to be what we call today fake news or propaganda. It could be ill-intentioned or not, but it is very difficult for someone else to talk about someone that you don't belong to. I mean, it's not really, you don't find a lot of Eastern African or other scholars of color writing about
The
Europe.
Holocaust.
Well, Europe in a way that allows it, if it's not the fact that we have experienced racism or anything like that. We don't just naturally talk about other people because you don't really know them. You only know yourself and your own culture and your own your petri dish, your own tribe. But let me give you an example. The Madam C.J. Walker story is not written accurately. What I mean by it's written impressionistically. It's written to have an effect on just moving, giving us some mere pride or making us proud, or the family or someone in that particular camp has an agenda, right?
But is that a Black story? Even though it's impressionistic, could those in the spirit of Black stories?
Right. Well, in the spirit of how the people on this channel would write stories, they would write it, one, for their own elevation and expertise, to solidify a place to where they can serve the public good, right? And they can be elevated to not just their occupation or just a person who just has high technical skills, but they have a little historical reference and experience. They have cultural experience, artistic experience, something that will give them some kind of platform to be an expert on a particular subject matter.
Correct.
But when you do autobiographies, and then when you're writing about someone's life, the only thing that you can do is research papers and try to get interviews of people that knew them, right?
Right.
But your goal, what is your goal, and how you write it is what you should be asking yourself. And are you going to write a accurate piece, right? Or are you going to write something to make the character, let's say like Alex Haley? There's a lot of shit with Alex Haley that Black people
it's true, y'all.
You know what I mean? So it just depends on when you sit down to write, what is your intention. When Mr. Morrow sat down to write 400 Years Without a Comb, and I'm talking about the first one, not the second and third edition. 400 Years Without a Comb, just in the general, in his sentiments, and of course, I love to talk to my, father, so we had great conversations just in the many years of growing up. But 40 Years is a love story. It's not really, even though it has historical facts according to his grandmothers and how he lived in a sharecropping environment in the South in Alabama. But to study culture and why Black people did things. But you tend to have a different perspective because you're in love with the people that you're writing about.
Right.
So you don't have a motive other than to give it some kind of prestige.
Okay.
Some kind of that you're informing, but you also want to raise the awareness. So when you're deciding to write, he wrote 400 Years Without a Comb as a love story because he had also been indoctrinated. And so he made Black girls and other people, as well as himself, everyone felt bad about the way they looked. And so he called that the inferior seed. And so he was trying to also apologize to his ignorance. And so 400 Years was a study to correct his own psychology and his own, modify his own behavior. But 400 Years Without a Comb was a book to social re-engineer how
Okay.
about, right?
Okay. So now we have a context that in the beginning of why you want to tell these stories. So one, like she said, you can rock the impressionistic, take on it, or you can actually use your own personal drive and fuel your writing ambitions, from within, based around, your little nucleus, family, church, whatever, so on and so forth. But in this particular context, we are focusing on hair because these are stories that are very different, and we see some common themes. This is one of those books, Twisted. And she too, I know y'all like, why are you saying in the UK? They write a lot of books in the UK. I'm just saying. But so she's one. This is Emma DeBerry. And she talks about her plight of growing up biracial. And we'll talk about that type of storytelling in a minute. So, so now we have those two reasons. Now let's take into the different ways that you can tell these stories. Why on God's green earth would your father pick all of those ways to tell stories and communicate issues around Black people's hair and communities? Why so many? I mean, he was a barber, for crying out loud.
Well, you got to also remember too that Mr. Morrow was a mentee and student of men who were and women who were much more successful than he was at the start of his career. And so when you follow a template, and you got to understand, once you follow a template of success, your outcome or result is much more assured. So Mr. Morrow followed the footsteps of S.B. Fuller.
Now you have some people in the chat that wants to write or speak or whatever and tell stories, but I do hear this. I know I'm not the only one. I go around, I present at cosmetology schools and to the public. I do hear a lot of people who will say, I don't want to follow. I want to be my own. So, but your father used a template. So what's the pros and cons of forget everybody and I'm going to do it my way and following a template where he decided to do not one, not two, not three, damn, Cheryl, four?
No, think about it. I want you to really understand that Black people, in terms of success, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to put a twist on it. And when you put a twist on it, that is your individual expression. For example, John Johnson actually was in the beauty business, okay, just like S.B. Fuller was. Cosmetics. Now, issue is that you have to remember we were segregated. So you could not be on the cover of white folks magazines. So S.B. Fuller would always say, and let me just say this, and let me give you another good example to drive this home. Little Africa, which make people misname Black Wall Street, but the business district was called Little Africa in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? And when you understand that you have to make your own version, you have to advertise your own products, right?
Right.
And so S.B. Fuller told them, when they were having the conversations about, and white folks told them that we're not picking you up, we're not dealing with you. So S.B. Fuller said, okay, good. So he says, stop asking them, get your own buses, get your own vans, get some big station wagons, and we'll organize and we'll pick up our own people. Well, that's what they had to do. So they had to create Ebonies and Jets. And so when Mr. Morrow comes along, and Mr. Morrow and Joe Dudley, I think, were the youngest out of those, out of that group, okay? And that's where Lafayette comes in, because he was the assistant of John Johnson. That's how Lafayette comes into the story. But John Johnson was in the hair business. He started Duke and Ravine Relaxer and Duke Men's. But he needed to advertise his products. So therefore, he needed to start Ebony, and then it launched to Jet first, and then Ebony. Well, that worked. So George Johnson, he comes in, he never really did publishing, but he did Soul Train. So media and that elevation kind of template, okay, get a product, okay, you got a barbershop, okay, you got this, okay, now you got to get you a newspaper because you got to advertise. Okay, well, you got a newspaper, boom, and now you need a radio station. Sam Cooke got a radio station, James Brown got a radio station. It's a template. So they follow the same template because these things have to be advertised. And let me just be honest, publishing and media is the greatest. It's part of the industrial complex. So you can't just have a product line. You have to have a pipeline into some kind of media piece. And that was what when we were talking about the 1 year anniversary, the young lady was saying, well, can I help? See, if we were our ancestors, we would say yes, because we need this and we need that. So Mr. Morrow just basically followed the template: newspaper, magazine, radio station.
Right.
All funded by beauty. See, it's always your nucleus is beauty, is hair care, and then that branches out and it sucks in like a black hole all of the energy, and it just fuels back and it just fuels back. It's actually a beautiful. Madam C.J. Walker did it. Manny Malone did it.
Right. So what I see here, and ironically, that's not to say that couldn't even be duplicated again today.
Absolutely.
That could definitely be duplicated. But one of the things that I keep hearing a theme that comes up the more I talk with you, and that is this whole economic empowerment. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a side of business that people don't want to seem so money hungry, or they just kind of want to do the work. I don't want to focus so much like I'm always trying to get money. But in all of the endeavors that your father did, and even his collaborations, there was always income that was the result of. So if a person is writing, they want to write, do you have any ideals, that you could just kind of share with some people of how they could take, let's take my book. I had to do that, y'all, but I might as well, So say I had 10 chapters on like how to shampoo your hair. How could that have been done differently given the backdrop of how your father, you know, was able to like advertise and, out of all of that? Can you do that with a book? Is there some way that you see book writing different? Because people just like me, I just self-published. I didn't think the way your father thought when I wrote the book.
Well, also the next component is that there's an education component with your book. Because when professors write, the reason why people like to get tenured and people like to get professorships, and professors usually come see people like me, then they end up having books like Textures and then exhibits, because they're trying to get a leverage into the marketplace to be able to launch a elevated career. There's been many people who have come to see Mr. Morrow, and then they want to have all of a sudden, and let me just say this, most of that, and you should do it for money. You should, because one of the things that, let's just say, what's the name of your book?
What they don't tell you. This is a limited edition. What they don't tell you at the hair salon.
Okay. When you wrote that, what do you think that book should have done for you?
I did not think like the book should have done anything for me. I thought the book would make a good self-help book with the plight of understanding hair. And I'm glad we're getting here, because there are a lot of people in the chat who want to write books. And I don't know if anybody in the chat wants to write a book, or maybe you already have a book. How about you guys answer the question, what do you want your book to do? Or what did, if you already wrote the book, what did you want your book to do? These are questions. I have never even heard of that as a question as an indie author. People always ask you, why did you write the book? So most people, I'm just speaking for myself, they're writing books for reasons. And that's been my small world as an indie author. Obviously, you have more experience based off of the question. But if anybody in the chat wants to, take a stab at it and reveal, what did you want your book to do for you, or what would you like your book to do for you? And I just said, I never even thought that a book could do anything for me per se. I didn't. I mean, it could give me, some speaking opportunities, but I mean, I don't need a book. I'm Chatty Cathy. I was already out there speaking. I guess as a speaker, I could sell something, a book.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, why that the question is very important. When you go speak, right? How many times do you quote and repeat what is written in your book?
Probably if it's about the book, I'm throughout. I mean, I say it all the time. I'm always, I do. I would say at least 3 times: the beginning, middle, and the end.
Okay. Do you have to be on subject?
Meaning?
Let's say you're talking about something specific that's in the book. Do you mention your book any other time if you're not talking about what's in the book?
No.
Okay. So when I say, what do you want your book to do for you? Let's just say, for example, I wrote Beauty and Myth. That is a philosophy. That is my philosophy. I don't ever not talk about the book. Everything I repeat, that book is my brain, right? And so the philosophy about what that is, I talk about it, what's in it, and I repeat it over and over and over again. So when I say, what do you want the book solidifies my talking points no matter what subject I'm on. Then you get the point? And so it helps me solidify my philosophy and how I think and how I talk about any other subsequent subject. And so the sequel to that book is the sequel to 400 Years Without a Comb, or the last or the fourth edition. My point is that the second Afrophilia is going to be a second set of growth for me in terms of philosophy. My philosophy has expanded. Not
Clearly, you're the hair oracle. Now you're just Cheryl Morrow. You see that hair savant? Back then she was Cheryl Morrow. Today you're the Cheryl Morrow, the hair oracle.
Thank you guys for that. But the expansion of me getting to make people, I want, when you read a book, I want you to think like me. I want you to have my philosophy. And I want you to be able to reference back to how I think. And let me just say this, and self-help books like the one you wrote, Ladosha, should have some kind of subsequent life to where it actually has other handbooks, because it's self-help, and people are not going to remember that. And it's a sizable book. So let's just say if you choose to do something about 75 pages and you want something about 11.12 type, and you want them to keep it in their purse, obviously the book that you wrote is a little sizable and it looks like a lot of pages. And so they have to reference back to that. And if those chapters could be taken out and could actually be something that they could be, that they could apply, because it is salon and techniques and do's and don'ts and tips and things of that nature. You really want that to come alive and actually be more of lesson plans and manuals and what they call, I think, thought catalogs.
Oh, wow.
Write in it, and then you can, or a diary style, because it's comprehensive. That's a thick book. It's comprehensive.
Right. Now you guys see you're getting a lot more than what you bang for. And if you like all of that good stuff, because Cheryl just dropped a whopper of some advice of what you can, of what your book can do for you. But if you do this right now, that will help you with your narrative as ours. Here we go. Pampa me on, pampa me on. And this is why we say over here on Planet Pluto Pseudo, we like to serve as a source, not only of inspiration, but as you can see today, you're getting actual help. So if we're talking about the importance of telling Black stories. Now we are learning, we're getting into the throes of the power of literature beyond, just writing a book to say, I wanted to write a book to help someone. We often hear what's the adage? If you don't see the book you want, you put it on a shelf. You write it because it's not there. Well, as we just learned from the Hair Oracle, books are more than just that. It's just a little bit more than just writing for the sake of writing. Okay, Miss LaWanna, you have a very good night's sleep, and we're going to just keep moving on. I had another question as we move on into the topic. Now that we understand, what we can do with the books that we write, what do you say about all the common themes there's so many books about the hatred and the bad hair experience. You have this book, you have hair stories. There's so much of the same stuff. what does this do? These same stories that we hear over and over. I even heard someone today say they did not want to go and see The Color Purple or any of those slave narratives because they're just tired of hearing those same stories over and over. So, number one, is there any good in the same story being told over and over? And then number two, perhaps someone is watching, and like me, I didn't want to write that narrative either. I agree. I was tired of the same narrative. I can't stomach slave stories. So how do we grapple with the need to tell it over and over and then the need to tell something else?
Let me just say this.
I'm sorry, without being accused of saying, don't forget your history.
Right. Once again, I think that it's going to take a few of us to present a new philosophy. I think that we're missing the era of a renaissance of thinkers that could think outside of the racist paradigm. And, and let me just say this, it's going to take a lot of courage for some new philosophers to grab a hold of the 10,000 years and sacrifice the last 400. And so when you have such a, we have confused the complaining and rightfully so. No one is taking that from us. But I think that we're a little afraid to go beyond and present another way to deal with and turn trauma into, as they would say, turn lemons into lemonade. I don't think that we're at the philosophy of lemonade yet. And so we don't want to let go of the anger. What they always say, anger is the first step to self-respect. We're still there, and we need new scholars, we need new philosophers, we need people to bring new philosophy and fresh air. And that's why the stories, yes, they get into the personal victim issues, and that's why you have all of those 40-page books about their personal experiences with the outer world and with their American Western experience as being Black. And so, hopefully my work, Afrophilia, will do something different and talk about the new Renaissance, the Afrofuture. Afrofuturism is hopefully an exciting endeavor. You're seeing most of us into the more Afrofuturism in terms of Black Panther and imagining us in a world where we don't have the toils of and the trials and tribulations of Western savagery.
Right. And so you're saying that, we get the whole the consistency of telling those same stories over and over. But again, it's going to take a bold new philosophy to help move the needle and without disregarding, because we definitely don't want to disregard the past.
Staying there does not work like it works for Israel. See, the environment is not structured to keep telling a slave narrative because they're not banning books about the Holocaust. They're banning books. Power bans what it doesn't want to confront. So us keep telling the story only traumatizes the self. It just keeps, paralyzing the collective.
But
Relive it.
that isn't that. But now, and I'm not understanding the whole the what's it called CRT argument. But to parents that says those the retelling of those stories is making their children, feel like they've done something. So is that the push to move the needle past? We don't want to hear no more y'all nappy headed whole story, because y'all
Well,
making us feel bad.
well, we have not produced any E.B. Du Bois. I think that that's the issue. We've only produced Cornel West's and people who can philosophize, and then of course mix it up a little bit with religion and God is sanctioned. The key here is that we say, "Oh, don't tell the story because it's traumatizing." The challenge is not to not tell the story at all. The challenge is just to tell it in a way that honors and illumines and enlightens and empowers you to get into a more of a comfortable ethos that is comfortable for you to be able to. So when I tell the story of Annie Malone and Madam CJ Walker, you have instructions, you have orientation, you know what to do. There's an aha moment. It actually propels you to do something because it hits your resonance different. But if I tell you that the two women were jealous of each other, you see how I'm
Mm.
saying that doesn't feel good to the spirit, and that story doesn't do anything. But we have to be brave enough and philosophers to be able to tell a story that's important to you, acknowledge what happened, but gives you such when we went into Black Panther, it did something different. Afrofuturism is a different tool, and I think most of us, we should try to get into it, especially with beauty, because Afrofuturism is so visual. It's so visual. It's like candy, eye candy, and it's so visually empowering. And so I think we can use categories like Afrofuturism to tell gorgeous beauty stories. I actually am writing one about my dad called The Enchanted Cheer. And it's about him, his chair. He's fascinated with one of his clients, and it's actually a real character. It was a detective named Detective Johnny Williams, and Mr. Morrow was very fascinated with him solving crimes, and my father wanted a very good neighborhood. So for one day, he was alone in his barbershop, and something happened to him in his chair. So now, when other people sit in his chair, they tell the truth.
Oh.
And so he could have the person who did the crime that Johnny Williams and all these other people are looking for, and he starts getting information. And it's just a fascinating, but Afrofuturism allows us to talk about what we can do with our in our communities instead of talking about what we don't do. It gives us a way into fantasy world to get
Wow.
us into a different resonant and
Right.
a
I,
frequency.
I I I never thought of writing like that, though I have read books that do that. But again, if you are inspired and you have a book and you don't know the context of how you want to take this book or where you want to do with the information, I'm really hoping that you are being enlightened and inspired to really give that book the push that it needs to get out there. And if you need to go back and make some changes and give that book more purpose and more utility, as we've just learned, then all of the information that Cheryl just shared with us, you can definitely rewind and you can jot down some notes, and that is going to help you with your book. It's going to help you with your poetry, your documentary, your radio station. Maybe you might have a podcast, and like she just shared with me, maybe even a magazine. So what I'm going to do is just kind of take you. Remember, our book today is Style and Status: Selling Beauty to America. Now, remember, this book is in a chronological order. And so someone might be asking, why did she go that route? So I'm just going to read what she said of why she wrote this whole thing. So she says, and this is in her the intro. She says, for me, the subject of African Americans women's beauty culture opens up all kinds of important historical questions. I know. What role did beauty culture play in the making of Black women's racial and feminine identities? How does African American beauty culture fit in with the changing social economic? Did Cheryl just not teach us that the Black beauty industry was the economic juggernaut for America? Did she not say that? Come on, y'all. Type in the chat. And we got receipts that she did say that. And here's a book who's saying, in fact, it was. She's saying, she's telling you in the book, in the beginning, do you not understand? This is what.
What year was that? Or did she's just in the preface? Or in the
it's in the beginning. She's telling you right up front. She is saying everything that Cheryl is saying. And I told you guys in the very beginning of our podcast, when I talked about my reluctance to take Cheryl's, because when Cheryl talks, she really gets you. You know, she gets into your ethos, and she moves you. And you know how they say she disturbs that solar plexus. And so for me, that disturbing was because she was a Black woman. And I was just used to getting my information, if it was valid, from white folk. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about me. And so here is, if you're one of those people like me, like I used to be, I ain't like that no more. If you just got to hear from a white person, okay, to make you feel like it's legit, and you don't believe everything Cheryl is saying, here you go. Hear what a white lady wrote that said the same thing. She's saying it differently, but she's saying this is what she saw this, the beauty of culture to fit within the changing economic and political context. And she's talking about Black people's lives. What was the role of Black-owned beauty cultural business in African American communities? What was the difference? Cheryl talked about that all the time. So she's taking you through why she wrote the book. So if you rock with us for the month of December, I'm going to highlight some more readings from the book Style and Status, Selling Beauty to African Americans. This is a book, to me, you gotta have it. And you gotta have this book. You gotta have this book. So as we wrap this up, what do you say about people? I want to write a book, right? But you know, when it comes to writing books on Black hair care, I'm going to tell you the struggle I had. It was just so much of this hair story and these same narratives of white people hated my hair and people was teasing me and all this, that, and the third. How do we use books like W.E.B. Du Bois, and how do we use, these are slave narratives, Black women in the 19th century. This book, it'll make you cry. Oh my gosh. How do we use sources outside of our industry to help us tell those stories that's helping us what we want our books to do for us? That's going to help us with what? So how do we use sources outside? Can you help us with that a little bit? Because we're not going to be able to find, we can't all quote 400 years without a comb, though I wanted to use it in my whole book. I'm just saying, guys, it's not a lot of good books. Like, hey, 400 years without a comb this book is ignorant, man. He did this thing. But how do we do that?
Well, usually the scholars or the authors are usually real life people. And I think once you follow a certain style and you get an author or you find a book that you like and you study that particular author, and hopefully you can get some live interviews, because books are people, you know, and they usually are
I've
either,
never heard that before.
yeah,
Books are only Cheryl, the hair oracle, can say that.
yeah, people, books read books. People, those are their lives. And when they usually, you sit down with them. I would not write a book. If you write a book on a particular subject, spend time with that author if you can, or you just start living inside of that author's head, because the references that they pulled from sometimes is so much experience that some is guesstimation, some of it's connection, some of it is correlation, and sometimes you just naturally feel things. And so you get you a book that has really impressed you and changed your life, and you study that particular author, because no one's gonna write the book you're gonna write, right? And um you know and you got to remember, you're going to have some sort of ego in it as well. You want people to like it, you want people to be impressed by it, so you want to make sure that you stay in your lane. Don't try to write someone else's style or book. But there's so many now, and guys, and I gotta tell you, there's so many other additional artificial intelligent kind of tools to help you guys with your notes, to round out your thoughts, and to help you organize what it is that you want to write. But if you want to get something in depth, you got to read Audre Lorde or James Baldwin, and if you want to get something that's much more factual and concrete, and if you want to write, because 400 years was very edgy when he wrote it, because no one talked about the life of Black people on a plantation. But John Edward Batiste, in his groundbreaking work, the truth, the half has never been told, and this was about memoirs. I mean, they avoided that book like the plague, because it really hits to the heart of what. Because let me just say this: we say slavery so lackadaisical. You just rolls off your tongue now. You don't even know what it actually really meant, right? And so, to read a good book that changes your life about something and your perspective about something, and these authors are not always Black.
Right, like this author,
Yeah.
the stylish status. She's white. She's white. But Hair Savant, he questions, why haven't we written our own Black hair guide? We have textbooks, but not our own extensions of it.
And I think that it's part of it's a psychological thing that cosmetology does to you. It glues you to merely just the example that you have a textbook with no authors. That is that you get your license, from. But it does the industry in and of itself does not intend for you to move out of the labor portion.
Did you guys hear that? Can you repeat that one more time?
Mm-hmm. The industry in and of itself does not have an intention for you to move beyond the labor portion.
Now, with that said, I just got to cut you off. What's up, Dewey? Now, you heard what you just said, right? What I saw that it was so obvious before I entered the beauty industry. And the reason why I wrote the book, did the hair care products, and did all those things, because I wanted to show this is the possibility of what you can do beyond the chair. And if you, when she said, she just gave us the advice to find someone that we like and just not copy, but be inspired. So my book, my son, he definitely, I was inspired. I didn't have this book then because after, but I was, what I could find online, I could deduce how this book was put together. And what I liked, what inspired me to copy literally off of Dr. Willie Morrow's was the history. Because what I see in the hair salon is that we didn't have the history. It was my son's ideal to make this like a magazine-esque, and Dr. Willie Morrow's book, which I could see, he had a lot of pictures. Also, let me tell you about this book before we wrap it up. Dude, if you want to see a glossary of illustrations of hair care products, that she's got all of her illustrations, Cheryl. Look at this.
Oh my, yes.
In chronological order, y'all. In chronological order, she's got them alphabetized in chronological order. All of these images that you can see, and you will see that a lot of these names and stuff, right? You've heard Cheryl mention a lot of these in the conversation. And the reason why I keep saying that is because a lot of times we think, that she's the only person. Cheryl's not the only person. There's somebody out here who is doing the same thing and telling it their own way. But I promise you, I can't say it enough. Y'all best to get that book. I'm going to put up the picture again, and Cheryl is going to close us out with a wonderful reason of why we should tell Black stories in our own little unique ways. And again, our book of the month, which I know you got, Ladosha, you tell us we got to buy all the books. Maybe you don't want to get Doppelganger. That was a dope book. And y'all can read these books on the toilet. Get off the internet. Once y'all get off with us, you're sitting on the toilet. These good toilet reading materials. How about we call it that, Cheryl? Good toilet reading materials, okay? Styling Jim Crow, but I promise y'all, you will not regret this book right here. It's very affordable. It's under, I think, like under $25. So get the book. We're going to be back over on Planet Pluto Pseudo next week. And this time when we come back, we're going to talk about the gift of hair care. It's that time of the year, and we need Cheryl and we need Ladosha to tell us, how can we make hair care a gift? All right, we're going to talk about that. And then when we go back over to the dumbest ish that people say about Black
I don't know if we'll be back on Thursday.
Okay, then the following Thursday, because I'll be in the airport.
Yeah, you'll be in the air.
Okay, so we'll miss that, but by the time we come back, it'll be some gift giving. Thank you. But that Monday, when we come back this Monday, remember we're going to be talking about unkempt, unbothered. Is that very African or not very African? So we're going to continue the discussion about unkempt hair, and the year is winding down. We're definitely going to be highlighting some wonderful. We'll play some snippets of some of our mostly highly clicked podcast, and just kind of recap some stuff and get you guys ready what to look forward from both platforms in 2024. But we can give you a glimpse that we are definitely going to move over to Instagram, because Sir Pooh was in the chat and said, Cheryl, you and Ladosha need to get on Instagram right now, because that is where a lot of stylists are. And so Cheryl and I said, okay, so you can definitely see that happening, but we'll give you more details about what's going to happen. So Cheryl, as we wrap it up, you gave us some powerful tips. And as always, the podcast, the live stream was definitely dynamic, and the importance of telling Black stories, or your own story. Maybe you ain't Black, but you still rocking with us. It's okay, but your story. Cheryl, in conclusion, what ye say about the importance? If you could, somebody said, well, I just scrolled past the whole thing. I just got to the end. So in the end, the importance of telling, y'all know we don't like race, right? So we're going to take out Black, and we just going to say the importance of telling stories. Your story.
Well, the importance of especially professionals in this industry is very important, because the one thing, no matter what we do, and as I'm speaking now, unless it's recorded in some kind of media, it's recorded on some kind of auditory capture, unless I say it, or it's transcribed. The problem is that I cannot live forever. And so the people who's coming up behind you and up behind us, we cannot give us and infuse our voice inside their chest. And we are, not immortal, and so we have to make sure that a new Timbuktu, a new great library of thought, leadership is passed on, because I can't pass on me. Ladosha can't pass on her. We can only remember what people say. We can only remember, but we can have the pages of a Timbuktu filled with thousands of years of people's intelligence, and their greatest gift is writing. So sometimes take the time to write down your thoughts and your sentiments and your sensibilities. To write it down. Write letters to yourself, or just write every day a pen and pad, because that you can pass on. You can't pass on yourself. And if we love our children, love the people we serve, and their children, and their children, and their children, let's write some books. Record.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing I learned today is that books are people. That's absolutely profound. So with that being said, you know what we say when we're signing out over here on Planet Pluto Pseudo, because you got to be able to get back in that mothership and then come on off and get on this planet with us, is that it's always about what? Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. So we won't be back next Thursday, but we will be back next Monday. So you guys have a wonderful night. And Cheryl, thank you so much. This was absolutely profound.
Absolutely.
Have a
Love
good
it.
night.
Good night.